While double episodes sound pretty straightforward, it's clear to distinct that none of them are actually the same. The double episode is an art defined by that particular show, not necessarily the channel or even network. So that's why if some of these shows didn't do something right, others would do it better, because it's not necessarily overseen by a specific double episode department. Like, it's not its own thing. But I want to look at it as if it is. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000. You may have known me for the 2000s nostalgia content of your childhood. So on this channel, we've gone over teen TV shows, movies, and a lot of the art of teen television, whether it's Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, or sometimes cartoons with Cartoon Network. There's a specific thing that I really wanted to cover in my last couple episodes that didn't necessarily seem necessary, but now I just really want to. I want to talk about double episodes, two-part episodes. So on TV, two-part episodes are when an episode storyline is not enough to fit into 20 minutes, but it has to go into 40. Whether it's because they have to incorporate a guest star, have a really intense character moment, or switch the tone of the show, I don't know, whatever business reason, because honestly, it comes down to production codes. Production codes are the numerical form of an episode, and instead of Hannah Montana episode 50 being episode 50, it's gonna be Hannah Montana episodes 50 and 51. Other than that, it doesn't really matter, and I'm just going off for whatever I want to talk about here. The difference between an episode and a double episode is an episode is a single story as a part of a large multitude of stories, as opposed to a two-part continuation of a multitude of stories. And the one difference is its serialization. The serialization is a term that means like one plot leads into the next episode, and that is exactly what a double episode is, a single continuation from one episode to the other. For the sake of definitions, I want to take off three-part episodes from this, because I consider those fully event episodes, like when they made a longer running narrative, like I Go to Japan from iCarly or Twister from Sweet Life on Deck. Three-part episodes will not be counted in this video because they are a little bit more special. I kind of want to focus on these 40-minute half and half episode arcs. Four-part episodes I definitely define as TV movies, so anything that goes past 3 episodes or it's released as an original film, I'm just gonna call them four-part episodes. And I'm also going to take pilots and finales out of this because I feel like finales and pilots are already such complex stories. I think we're gonna talk about how double episodes in itself work best. So I wanted to do all the double episodes across Disney Channel at first, but the more I get into it, the more I realize they might as well just be talked about. And I would rather go over 5 things I realized that makes a really outstanding Disney Channel double episode. And unfortunately, all of the best aspects of all of these specials are overshadowed by doing one of these terrible sins. And only in retrospect could we really point out what worked and what didn't over time, but this is what I consider to be defined as the perfect Disney Channel two-parter. Yeah, so I'm only doing the episodes that are going to really drive my point home. The first thing I learned, 1, having a double episode after another double episode dilutes the impact. And we're gonna talk about this with Sonny with a Chance. So Sonny with a Chance, Sonny with a Secret came immediately after the two-part episode Falling for the Falls, which also happened in season 2. Nevertheless, 1 episode before it. Okay, so Sonny with a Secret starts off with Sunny Monroe at her old Wisconsin home. I think this is like one of the first times we see this in the series, and she has a terrible wig on, but they're wishing her luck in Hollywood. She triggers the cheese cannon as a part of some weird tradition, and everybody celebrates. Then we go back where everybody else that's so random is celebrating Sonny's first year. She gets a cake that says, "Sonny is a phony," which means somebody is out to get her in the cast. As the friends try to figure out who could have done it, Sonny is really bothered by the fact that somebody could be out to get her. Meanwhile, Tawny is getting a little bit jealous that Sonny is getting so much attention because of this negative press, and she's not. They learn that Tween TV is reporting everything that's been going on, and pretty much ruining her reputation as it happens. Meanwhile, her and Chad Dylan Cooper have their first interaction as a couple outside of, that two-part episode, and they're pretty cute together. I definitely feel like they go together better than I thought they would. Chad basically says that to get to the bottom of this, they should just jump on his private jet and go to Wisconsin to see who could have done it. Meanwhile, Penelope thinks this is a bad idea, so Chad asks them to go and bond to get along. Nico and Grady are all about this new rare coin they found, and Tawny's even more upset when she finds out that Sonny and Penelope are caught shopping and she wants to be involved. So she shows up at the mall and goes into the dresser room, which I don't know if you're allowed to do that, Tawny, but where's the employees to stop her, I guess? It's on them. The reporter ends up showing up at the mall, catching her with a stolen necklace, the same necklace she tried on with Penelope a couple seconds earlier. The showrunner Marshall is dealing with the backlash. This guy kind of reminds me of Lorne Michaels a lot. Like, if you guys have ever seen Saturday Night Live, like, his whole thing is that he runs this sketch show, and this is kind of what it reminds me of. So they hide out in Marshall's office while Chad and Marshall fight against the paparazzi for Sonny. Sonny's going to be shooting the cheese ball out of the cheese cannon again at her high school like she did a year earlier, but she's interrupted when Tween TV is apparently on Sonny watch. They reveal that Sonny stole not only the necklace from the wall, but now Sicky Vicky, the character that she plays on So Random. She tries to prove that she's not a thief by going into the trash can. Sonny tries to use this as a chance to explain her side of the story, but she's interrupted when Nico and Grady realize that she has their gold coin. So now everybody that wanted to help Sonny is now angry at Sonny, including Marshall, who comes in to tell her that she's going to have to leave So Random because of stealing Sicky Vicky. So the cliffhanger ends with Sonny being fired from So Random. Okay, we got a good start here. Sonny returns home, depressed, because of course everybody hates her now. Chad shows up dressed as a Chinese delivery man, which is actually really offensive, and Tween TV will not leave Sonny alone. Sonny decides that it's time to go back to Wisconsin and figure out who could have done this. But Sonny can't escape the paparazzi until she realizes that Tawny's getting so little attention that if she dresses up as her, the paparazzi wouldn't notice her. Tawny's really angry because of course it works, and the two road trip down to Wisconsin together. Meanwhile, Zora comes into the second half of the two-part episode just to try to get to the bottom of everything that's going on. I think they added Zora because they wanted somebody that didn't hate Sonny to actually be able to figure this out. Meanwhile, Penelope is getting frustrated with Chad Dylan Cooper because the two essentially aren't together anymore, which I might have forgot to mention from the last scene. Tawny and Sonny's car break down on the way to the festival when a truck driver insists that he cannot help unless the two beat him in a comedy contest. But this guy doesn't know that Sonny and Tawny are comedians professionally, so they pretty much trick him. And Sonny and Tawny beat the trucker in a stand-up comedy showdown. In the end, Sonny leaves her phone and the two run away. Meanwhile, Zora, Nico, and Grady conclude that it has to be Tawny. She's the only one that has enough of a vendetta against Sonny and negative energy to actually have done it. So they team up with Chad Dylan Cooper to take down Tawny. They also learn that the cheese ball they have is the real cheese ball Sonny should be giving, and she has a bomb. Whoa, this just got intense. So Sonny is with Tawny and a bomb in the car on the way to Wisconsin. But the next scene we learn that Penelope was actually behind everything. She stole the necklace and put it in Sonny's bag, and she's going to crash the plane unless Chad Dylan Cooper agrees to be in love with her. Whoa, this got really intense really quick. Zora's a little upset because she thought it was Tawny, and I love that Tawny was like the scapegoat for this because it definitely is a really valid thing. I would totally believe that that was true. Penelope basically threatens their lives and jumps out of the plane, leaving the rest of the cast on a swerving plane. As a cop pulls over Tawny and Sonny, Sonny becomes even more panicked. And then finally, the cast is So Random and Chad Dylan Cooper fall down from the sky in a really funny moment. They tell Sonny that it's not her fault and their disagreements are behind them. Immediately, we find Appleton High getting ready to celebrate homecoming. That's when we go back to Sonny and Tawny, who are arriving at Appleton High, where the Tween TV guy is already there and giving Sicky Vicky the award instead of Sonny. Sicky Vicky admits in front of everybody that she just made this up for attention, which kind of weird on this girl's part. Sonny interrupts to explain everything that happened. They end up taking Sicky Vicky's face off of her to reveal that it's Penelope. I don't know how Penelope had so many impressive disguises. It's like almost like dangerous. And Sonny finally puts the cheese in the cheese cannon. The Tween TV guy basically says he knew this all along and is squirted with cheese. The cast of So Random surround him, and Tawny finally gets attention. And that's the end of Sonny with a Secret. Isn't it weird to have two double episodes back to back? I mean, I never thought it would be, but seeing it actually happen here makes it weird. I definitely think it dilutes its impact, where if we have a giant secret being revealed in a two-part episode, and then another giant secret being revealed in the next episode, it kind of makes it unexciting, let alone being advertised on the channel as these two major things, but the last episode was already major. I just feel like it psychologically makes the viewer less interested in whatever the second one is. And this kind of leads me to my next point, which Sonny does, is number 2, it needs to have at least one per year, one per season, and every show deserves it. For example, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. They do it once. In season 2, episode 36 and 37, they do The Sweet Life Goes Hollywood, which is really cool. They finally got their 2-part episode, but they never had it in the first season, and the entire 35 episodes of the second season, nothing was grandiose enough to have justified that. And episode 36 and 37, The Sweet Life Goes Hollywood. So basically, it's a winter day, school's closed, Zack and Cody cause mischief around the hotel, and 2 failing screenwriters notice their antics and think it might be a good TV show. So the boys, their mother, Maddie, London, and Mr. Mosby fly to Hollywood to consult with the writers and observe the pilot of the show titled How Sweet It Is. This is a little uncanny. They stay at the Tipton in Los Angeles, which is largely identical to the one in Boston, and it's kind of creepy, and they meet the cast of the show. Zack and Cody are portrayed by 2 young boys, Carrie by a young lady, Maddie by a pretty girl who pretends to be like her, and London by a boy. And even funnier, Mosby by a tall man who talks with street slang. Oh my god, that's so rude. The producers think the twins playing Zack and Cody are too young, and it's decided that the real Zack and Cody should play themselves. The twins get excited, and the rest of the group are kicked out during rehearsals for interfering with the process. After being kicked off the stage, Maddie and London sneak into another film set to see a star they like, and the director assumes that they're stunt doubles, and they initially refuse, but eventually go along with because they think they're gonna actually be able to kiss the star at the end. But after they do the stunts, the real actors are the ones who kiss the star, and the true stunt doubles have them removed from the set. Back at the taping, Cody becomes nervous and forgets his lines, which actually annoys Zack, and the two start to fight, resulting in their mother taking them backstage to lecture them. During the lull in the taping, one of the crew asks the audience if there are any talented people there. The Veronicas, who are in the audience, come downstage to sing a song, which is well liked by the crew and audience, resulting in Zack and Cody being fired and the Veronicas being hired. That's when the group heads back to Boston. And I think the interior scenes for the Los Angeles Tipton and the Hollywood set version of the soundstage were actually filmed on the exact same set that's used to represent the Boston Tipton, which is not surprising at all and kind of funny. This episode definitely feels like a good 2-parter because something big enough to take them out of the Tipton for more than 1 episode is a good reason to do it. The cliffhanger after the first episode, though, doesn't feel super intense. It feels like we kind of know how the rest of these episodes are going to play out, so the stakes aren't super high. It feels like an extended sitcom episode that goes on for a little too long. Like, this entire premise could have fit in 1 episode. And even though I really like the jokes and have fun with this particular episode, I do feel like it's hard to justify it going on for so long. It's really fun to see Maddie and London have their little side plot, and the meta-ness of having Zack and Cody play themselves in The Sweet Life on, oh my god, it's so creepy. The character arcs are simple, and even though that there's a big change of location, it doesn't feel like there's a huge implementation of higher stakes. I feel like to the point of diluting the impact of these episodes, it's important to have that filler in between, to really not get the audience too comfortable with things and structures of the show changing so much, especially when it's episodic. Serialized elements just need to be taken seriously. And it's weird because The Sweet Life never has an official finale, nor another 2-part episode. The way it dilutes itself, the fact that Sweet Life took so long to get it, and also never did it again, made that particular episode under a lot more criticism. Like, they didn't break the structure, and if they did other 2-part episodes, maybe I wouldn't be so harsh on it, but it just feels like it's not meant to be a 2-part episode. Like, they could have done this in 1 episode. There weren't even a lot of special guest stars. I do like that they go out of the normal set, but I don't think that's enough. And I think if they had a 2-part episode in the 1st or 3rd season, it would be more interesting, but they didn't. Overall, I wouldn't consider this a successful double episode, but I do think it's cool that they finally got one. It's definitely overdue. Hannah and Wizards had their double episodes, at least in the 1st or 2nd season, but Sweet Life of Zack and Cody didn't have it until episode 60, which is kind of crazy to me. And I know The Sweet Life on Deck might actually have a few more double episodes than them and actually have more stakes, so let's get into those. So The Sweet Life on Deck is interesting because, like we said about The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, their double episodes were kind of diluted because there wasn't enough of them. This one had 2 in the same season, and it kind of contradicts exactly what I said before. So the first 2-part episode of The Sweet Life on Deck is actually called Lost at Sea. It's the 8th episode in the 2nd season, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a lot of promos about this, and I was super excited to see kind of how it panned out. It definitely seems, off the bat, like something that does justify another episode. I mean, can't you imagine like a whole show about being on a boat and then having them not be on the boat? I mean, that's definitely a reason to branch out like that. It premiered during a Night of Premieres event in September 2009 and definitely celebrated. It all starts out with the cast being reunited after their third year of high school. Cody has a messed up voice, and Zach pretends to be a welcome buddy to Jenna, a new girl at 7 Seas High, to hit on her. London, with no more space for her clothes, puts her extras in a lifeboat. Near London's new closet, Cody's complaining to Bailey that if their relationship is gonna last, Bailey has to stop laughing about his voice. Bailey then kisses him on the lips, fixing his vocal problem. Meanwhile, Woody accidentally exposes Jenna, Zach's girlfriend, that there's no welcome buddy, and starts chasing him all around the lifeboat. As they're all in this lifeboat, it seems like the 5 friends are actually struggling for space. London pushes Woody to the release button, which he pushes, casting them out to sea. Bailey nominates Cody as the leader, but the two have trouble on which way to go. London gives their food to the sharks, which everyone gets mad at, and Zach, Woody, and London switch their leader to Bailey, who of course would add a lot of tension to their relationship. So Bailey gets mad at Cody for not trusting her, as Cody kind of takes over, saying that they should head west. But they soon land on a deserted island with a skeleton trapped in the sand. Oh my god, this is terrifying. As Cody and Bailey actually break up, and Zach becomes the new leader, as survival is his specialty. Zach gets water, Bailey gets food, Woody and London scout the island for anything useful, and Cody starts ruffling out a constitution. Because Cody's still trying to get Bailey back, he actually gets distracted and beats up Zach with bamboo and slams into a mountain. While Bailey, Zach, and Woody are eating fish, Zach asks Cody if he really doesn't want the food, and London's convinced by Bailey that they're actually on a 5-star resort, and she and Woody start gossiping about Zach and Bailey's attraction. Cody makes a trap which backfires on himself, and he thinks he's a loser. Later, Zach goes to London and Bailey's side of the beach and tells them that Cody has found a way to get off the island. Cody has constructed a human-powered ornithopter. I don't even know how to say it. After the ornithopter doesn't work, he makes another plan, and Zach says he'll get the first aid kit as a joke. Cody and Bailey get back together, making a hot air balloon out of London's clothes, which takes them back to the ship. When they reach the ship, London tells Cody and Bailey that she was pretending she thought the island was a 5-star resort and she was only doing it to get out of work. Oh my god, London, not necessary. Then Bailey admits they should give more credit on how smart London is. London also gave back the bug that everyone thought she ate. So the two tipped employees, like Mr. Mosby and Mrs. Tutwiler, are also drifted out to sea like the kids. They go through the same thing Cody and Bailey went through, even though Mosby and Tutwiler are not boyfriend and girlfriend. This also parodies the popular sitcom Gilligan's Island, placing the Sweet Life characters in the roles of the Gilligan's characters. And this is actually Cody and Bailey's first breakup. I really love how it ends with them breaking up as the first double-length episode. I feel like that's an incredibly perfect vehicle for a 2-part episode. If it were just a normal length episode and they broke up, it would almost seem like their relationship wasn't super strong to begin with. But the fact that it takes something so big, like being lost at sea, for them to have this issue, that was like a perfect reason. It's also cool because Zach being good at survival while Cody isn't is a callback to the episode Wilderness from the regular Sweet Life. And this is the first Sweet Life episode that's over the usual length of 23 minutes, as the Sweet Life Goes Hollywood was into 2 parts. Overall, this one really made a cool impact, and it kind of made up for the original Sweet Life of Zach and Cody double episode. Although I feel like that still never really got its own official double episode. Even the finale was a short regular episode. It bothers me that Zach and Cody never really got that kind of attention, but this seems worth the wait. I mean, it's only over 120 episodes at this point as a combination of both the series. The storylines is the cardinal sin here. Number 3, the storylines shouldn't repeat. Like, for example, if Hannah Montana takes off her wig in part 1 like she did in Achy Jakey Heart, then another 2-part special needs to cover something different of her double life or of her love life, which they actually do a really good job of. Specifically double episodes. I mean, Miley's revealed her secrets in many ways before, but the double episode is the best for it because you have the leading up to the decision and then the aftermath of the decision to tell someone. Achy Jakey Heart did it immediately, and Hannah Montana didn't repeat it. But you know what did repeat it? The Sweet Life on Deck. I know I was feeling positive about the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody's double episodes because of Lost at Sea, but now we're looking at the next one and I'm a little disappointed. One, it's in the same season. It's the second season of the Sweet Life on Deck. It's called Break Up in Paris, which means it's kind of taking the same identical storyline earlier and making it a longer episode. And I think it's the last one of the series before we get to the final episode, which doesn't really count. Although it is the second season finale, and we don't see a lot of double episodes of Disney Channel shows specifically ending on 2-part episodes. Like, other channels will do it, cartoons will do it, but for some reason the Disney Channel shows don't usually end on 2-parter. But I do like that because when you're ending a season, you definitely should end with something big to go out. So Bailey and Cody celebrate their 1-year anniversary in Paris at the Eiffel Tower. Bailey goes to the Eiffel Tower where Cody is planning the date, but she spots him with London, thinking that he's cheating on her. Frustrated, she heads back down to the park where she confides in this painter named Lala de Pio. Cody sees Bailey being comforted by him and immediately thinks she's cheating. London tells Bailey that Cody was just practicing the date with her to make sure the anniversary was perfect. Jean Lecure greets London and the two go out, and Bailey goes to the Eiffel Tower to see Cody, but he's very mad at her. In the end, they get into a horrible fight and they break up, agreeing to remain friends. During the sightseeing, Woody gets his satchel mixed up with another person, and Zach is chased by a man named Stefan. I mean, first, we really do like the Lost at Sea double episode. I feel like a lot of great and interesting premises come from it. I think it needed to be done in the first season, so Breakup in Paris could have been done in the second season on its own, but instead, they had Lost at Sea and Breakup in Paris in the same season, diluting itself. So the Sweet Life series just never gets it right when it comes to pacing in that terms. Between Cody and Bailey didn't happen in both episodes, I would consider this show a lot more unique, but it just makes me feel like the plot is so unnecessary that the only story they could drive further into 2 parts are Cody and Bailey, and the show needs to be a little bit more than that. It needs to have a little more camaraderie towards Zach and Cody, and it just, I don't know, it's not owning that anymore. Next thing is the marketing is half the art. Double episodes only exist to fill programming blocks, really, when they want to have a full hour of a time slot in one night, like on Disney Channel. For example, Wizards has a bunch of really good double episodes. There's Wizard School and then Saving WizTech, but the one I wanted to focus on is Wizards Unleashed. Why? Because this actually did one of the cardinal sins that I think stands out above the other shows. So Jerry and Teresa reveal that they're going to be leaving for a pre-anniversary trip. Jerry says that he trusts the kids, but puts a giant webcam in a teddy bear, which everybody is so aware it is that. Alex throws it into the trash can, blaming it on Max. On the TV in the substation, they see that there's a wolf drawing paintings of Alex's face. She realizes this can only be her werewolf boyfriend, Mason. Alex, Justin, and Max show up to where the werewolf was to find a trailer park, and in it, a family of hillbillies, I guess, that apparently own the dog. Alex gets him alone for a second and is sure that it's Mason. Justin tries to distract the family as Alex tries to figure out for sure if it's Mason or not. It's funny because Justin doesn't have a lot of reasons to actually distract them, so he keeps falling flat until they eventually just play music together. Alex finally gets the werewolf to turn back into her boyfriend, but they're surprised when they find out the family is actually a family of wizards. Special wizards that live in the woods. They basically hold them hostage in the RV so they can't get away with their dog. The family proposes that if they were to give them their portal, which would be the portal in the lair behind that giant wall, they'll give them Mason. Obviously, Justin refutes this, and Alex just has to say goodbye, even though she really doesn't like it. The B-plot is super uninteresting. It is Harper trying to get a kiss from Zeke, which really doesn't have a lot to do with the plot. Suddenly, Alex goes to the lair, and Mason and the hillbillies show up. We learn that Alex actually told them that she would go through on the plan. Justin and Max come in to stop her, but Justin realizes that Alex is not intending to actually get rid of the portal, but use a fake door instead. When the hillbillies go into the fake door, they get trapped, and Alex gets Mason back, which I think she just murdered this family. Like, she said she's gonna lock them in a void forever. That can't be okay. But the spell reverses and Mason turns back into a dog because they broke the deal. So the Russos return to the Hillbillies trailer to search for clues on how to get Mason back, but then they realize that maybe the jug band instruments that they played earlier when Justin was trying to distract them might actually undo the spell. That, and it's in their inconspicuously labeled chest. They attempt to play the instruments, and Mason only transforms halfway and is stuck in the werewolf stage. Alex is thrilled to have him back at first, but then the thought of having Mason possibly stuck like this forever starts to embarrass her, so she forces him to cover his face, and it starts to hide him from everyone. At Zeke's party, Mason's cover is blown, and Alex's humiliation is finally apparent to Mason, who becomes very disappointed and embarrassed. So he leaves because she's kind of being superficial. Harper has a talk with Alex, saying that she's never really minded what people think before, and why would she do this now, especially when she cares so much about Mason. This makes Alex realize that her relationship with Mason means much more than what others might think, so she flashes herself into the elevator with Mason and apologizes. In the end, they make up, and Justin finds the missing instrument, the mouth harp, and plays it, restoring Mason's appearance back to normal. See, this is interesting, and I feel like it's gonna lead to the season finale, but the fact that this is the second part of a 2-part episode means it's supposed to be conclusive, and I don't think this episode was conclusive. But my major thing is that, like, she cares what other people think, but I do feel like that wasn't the highlight of this episode, and it tried to become one. I know the next episode, so I'm aware that this is supposed to lead to something more, but it's supposed to end after a 2-part episode. They called it Wizards Unleashed. See, it just sounds like a buzzer or like a thumbnail for a YouTube video that you just need to get the person's attention, and I don't think it's an accurate portrayal of the plots of the story. This episode is really interesting, and it's really good, but I feel like if it was called anything besides Wizards Unleashed, we wouldn't have had such high expectations or been surprised when it was an episode just like the rest. Yeah, it was a episodic episode. It could have ended early, and that is not a fun excuse to have to make one. You think it's gonna be this huge thing where people are unleashed, and if they didn't have an episode, literally one episode after it, where the actual wizard's secret came out, then this would be a lot more interesting. But instead, it's about Alex saving Mason, the werewolf, diluting the interest of the audience. Like, if we need a double-part episode, let's use it about releasing the wizard's secret, not saving the werewolf. Like, even though they're not 2-part episodes back-to-back, they're 2 major events happening back-to-back. And the fact it had so many storylines, like Jerry and Teresa going on vacation, Harper and Zeke going to kiss, like, it gets to my next point of number 5. The episodes need to gain momentum. So when you have multiple storylines, an A story, B story, C story, it's hard to kind of build up that momentum because you're jumping to so many different points of view. But a double episode needs to have strong momentum, and to do that is focusing on one storyline, not 2. The next episode kind of does that pretty well. It's the Hannah Montana I'll Always Remember You episode. This episode is great because it's not just about her revealing her secret to one person, it's about her revealing her secret to the world. So we start with Miley and Lily in their fresh new house, bickering about if anybody really recognized Lily as Lola at all. It's kind of a funny bit because it's like, of course she's not that famous, so what does it matter? So Miley's preparing to tell Jesse that she's Hannah Montana, her current boyfriend that she originally didn't choose over Jake, and now they're dating, which I feel bad for him. She's nervous, and Lily's focused on the fact that she might have to reveal that she's Lola. When Miley tells him, he says he already knew, and he picked up on it, which, oh my god, if he could pick up on it, how have not a lot of people online picked up on this? I mean, I guess the online culture wasn't as developed as it is today in Hannah Montana Forever, but you know what I mean. Jackson, Sienna, and Rico just like dancers throughout this special. I don't know, I don't think it's that funny, but it is interesting that they kind of continue the plot. They did this for the He Could Be the One special, so I guess it's reasonable to do it again. So when everything seems fine between Miley and Jesse for knowing the secret, it starts to get a little bit complicated as they can't be together in public. Because if he were to be seen with Hannah and then also seen with Miley, he would be cheating and it would do really bad for both of them, and maybe they would even find out Miley's secret. Miley is of course upset that her secret once again gotten in the way as her and Lily get ready to see if they are accepted into college. Unfortunately, they both say that they're not, but Billy Ray reveals that Lily actually did and Miley didn't. She was just trying to protect her feelings. Oh, Lily is actually a really good friend. Miley insists on going all the way to Stanford to see what she has to do to get into this college with her best friend. On the way, we have Jackson, Rico, and Sienna, who turn into Dr. Phil. I love seeing Dr. Phil in a Hannah Montana episode. This is what sold the show for me. Stanford's admission lady basically explains to her that they accepted her over Lily because of her extracurricular activities, and Lily has a very diverse portfolio, but Miley doesn't. Seems like she just goes to school, which is is really funny because of course she's Hannah Montana and has so much to do anyway. Lily has the idea to tell her she works for Hannah, and Miley is mad because of course she drove all the way home and now has to drive back. Miley asks for another chance and says that she works for Hannah Montana. The woman says that if she has pay stubs or can prove this, that she would definitely consider her as an applicant. Hannah shows up and tells her she's one of the best employees ever, and the admission counselor is super excited, but she reveals that this is only for a chance to get in, not necessarily getting in immediately. The only way that she could actually get admitted into college is if she was Hannah, which obviously perplexes Miley. The episode ends with Miley given the decision that as Hannah Montana, she could pretty much get into college, but she would have to reveal her secret, which is a good ending to the first part. She starts to feel guilty that Jesse and Lily and everybody in her life are giving up a little too much to keep specifically her secret, and starts to feel selfish about it. She even has a conversation with her as Hannah, which I can't believe they never did this before this episode. Like, Miley and Hannah talking to each other would be really cool multiple times. But it is really impactful that they never did it until now. It makes the moment really important. Miley considers that this is actually a real truth, but starts to see false sides of Jesse and Lily, saying that they essentially resent her for her secret. And when Miley confronts them about it directly, they actually don't really disagree. Miley and her dad have a moment where she's basically like, why aren't I telling anybody I'm Hannah? And Robbie says that maybe it's time to outgrow this part of her life. Then we have a really beautiful moment with the song that is titled after the episode, I'll Always Remember You, and we go back into her old closet, which is so nostalgic and sad because we get to see her outfit from the pilot. We get to see what she wore up until the second and third season. Although some of these clips are a little weird because they skip around to such random things, especially the Jonas Brothers. Like, why do we need a shot of the Jonas Brothers in this? Guys, it's about Miley this time. And she shows up back on Jay Leno with an announcement she has to make. She goes on stage as Hannah and pulls off the wig in front of everybody. And then we have a really sweet moment where Lily also pulls off her wig in solidarity, and Miley sings for the first time as herself instead of Hannah Montana, which is really jarring because I always thought that this had happened at one point, but it's very rare that we see Miley singing. Like, she did a little bit in the third season, like for a moment, but I don't know, we don't really identify them as the same person when it comes to their singing talent. This is like really impactful because we get to see Miley actually as herself in front of everybody, finally ending the entire episode. This one was really good because it is the ultimate reason to have a double episode, because of course releasing your secret that you've kept the entire show, 4 seasons at this point, is going to be a really big deal. There's going to be a lot of fallout, which is why it's crazy that it ends with her taking on her wig. I was hoping to remember this episode that she took off her wig and that's what ended the first part, but it was more so the college idea. And I wish it was a little bit bigger than that because the transition would be a lot more intense, like if she took off her wig like she did with Jake Ryan in her first double episode special. But we'll talk more about the final season later. It feels like there's a lot of episodes that feel like the finale, and this is definitely one of them. They gave so much time for us to see Miley develop, and I really appreciate that because you can't do that in standard episodic or even just long-running TV sitcoms. You have to stick to the structure of the episode, and this really broke its structure to actually show how Miley is affected, makes this decision, and has the character growth, which is so nice because it's like TV does have the ability to do that more than movies. Like, movies always have to have character moments taken out because of plot for some reason, but at least TV shows have the breadth and longevity to give these more moments, but it's so structured, so it's unlike TV. Overall, I'll Always Remember You was just such a good 2-part episode that is almost bringing Hannah Montana to a complete close. Since the cliffhanger isn't about Hannah Montana taking off her wig like the Achy Jakey Hark, I give this one a unique twist because it's about her making the decision to go to college. Every single plot line, like Jesse and college, like all have to do with one another, so I do the perfect example of a 2-part episode that gains momentum. It just, things get worse for Miley consistently, and the second half of the episode just continues to build off of all the issues we're having already, as opposed to like, oh, it's a new episode, we have a new story, or we're gonna continue parts of the first story, but not necessarily all of it. And that's kind of how we get to this really, really beautiful episode, especially for being so late in the Hannah Montana series. Unfortunately, it is like a couple episodes before the series finale, which is also a 2-part, so it does break earlier cardinal sins, but you know, it's too late now. All in all, Disney Channel really did double episodes in a really specific way that makes me think that a lot of the shows didn't necessarily coordinate with one another. And I think that definitely comes down to marketing on Disney Channel's part. If Disney Channel took more of a lead on this and tried to figure out the consistency with the writers of like where really important show-changing events need to happen versus when it's being diluted with itself. Like, we need to actually work together on this. But these all have a special place in my heart, and I think despite the fact that they had their own sets of rules and everything kind of went haywire in terms of marketing or putting out these shows, they were really special events. They were super fun to look forward to, better than any normal episode, and I kind of respect them as such, and that's why I like to break them down so much and talk about why double episodes in themselves are an art. Just the way episodes are, the way serial episodes are, it's something that's so exciting because it really expands on a good teen TV show. Whew, yeah. But thank you guys so much for letting me rant. I mean, double episodes are so cool to me, so I just had so much fun actually talking about it, and I'm probably gonna go on to Teen Nick next and talk about how they do their double episodes. If there's any shows you have in mind that you want me to keep an eye out, definitely send me a comment below. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for listening to this long essay. My name is Johnny2000, and until next time, have a great day.